I keep catching my boyfriend in lies. My boyfriend and I have been together for 3 years. We're both 24. We've known each other our entire lives. I live with him. He betrayed my trust about a year into our relationship, went on a guy's trip, spent the whole time at strip clubs and lied about it, also still had Tinder on his phone, and used OnlyFans and even was subscribed to one of his personal friends just because he was curious. This was found out all at once. We had a huge fight, but ultimately talked it out and stayed together. Things had been good for another year and a half-ish, maybe longer, until I started finding stuff again. I used to think I was just overreacting, but I'd find random girls on his Snapchat that he had streaks with, and they were always his number one friend. I did not know any of these girls, knew nothing about them. The first one I ever found wasn't because I was snooping, but because he'd been doing something with his phone laying next to me and it was hilarious. He wasn't looking at me, I didn't have my phone, and I wanted a video. So I opened Snapchat on his phone and recorded a video, tabbed over to select my name from his friends list, and found that his number one friend was his ex-girlfriend, and they'd had a 2-month-long streak. He freaked out on me for going through his phone and told me she only wished him a happy birthday. But they talked for 2 months then? Anyway, I told him I thought it was messed up, but ultimately dropped it and hoped it wouldn't happen again. A few months later, I found another girl. He was Snapchatting in bed next to me, and I'd forgotten to take my contacts out so I could actually see. He was selecting friends to send a Snapchat to, and yet again, a different girl with a streak at number one. Fought over it, he blocked her, I let it go again. A few months later, another girl. Same thing. A few weeks after this one, he told me that he thought we needed a break, and that I was too controlling. Controlling because I didn't want him to talk to other girls? Seems basic for a committed relationship, but I digress. We split for about a week, then got back together again because he missed me and wanted me and needed me to come over. And like an idiot, I ran back again. About a week later, one night, I straight up asked him to show me his friends list. He freaked out, went downstairs, threatened to leave. Finally showed me. Another girl. Again. Every time he swore they were just friends and he is just really social. I know that he doesn't meet up with anyone because I have his location, he works longer hours than me, and we are always home together. But still, at what point is continuously talking to other girls behind your girlfriend's back and lying to her over and over again considered cheating? That was 2.5 months ago. I haven't caught him talking to any other girls since then, and things have actually been so much better recently. However, over the weekend we went on a little trip. I asked him for his phone on the drive home to send myself our pictures. As soon as he saw I opened his camera roll, he freaked out and took his phone back. That's interesting. Last night he left his iPad out while he showered. I looked. Naked pictures and videos saved from Snapchat, because Apple products tell you where the Imagine was saved from, all throughout that last 2 months. All at random times, almost all either during the day while at work, or after work while at home with me. One was even a girl that we're friends with and I was just hanging out with 2 weeks ago. I looked at his texts, sending nudists back and forth with friends, showing off. Oh, gross? Everything he sent was of girls who are not me. Funniest part, he complains all the time that I rarely send him nudes. You know what I didn't find in his camera roll? Not one single picture of me. He doesn't save them, and then wonders why I never send anything. The worst part is that I won't leave him. I don't know why. After I found out last night, he freaked out on me and I dropped it and tried working it out. He left this morning without saying bye and has been ignoring me all day. WTF is wrong with me? I just keep hoping things will get better. They never do. Growing up, I was so picky with who I dated, careful with my heart. If a guy didn't seem right for me, I ended it immediately. But now with him, I convince myself to stay and let everything go. Not sure how I got to this point. Every time I catch him and we fight, he swears he won't do it again. He swears it meant nothing. He pretty much tells me it's just because I don't make him feel loved, and so he goes elsewhere. Apparently, I take that as a challenge to do better. I just feel a strong need to fix things. It's not going to change, right? Why can't I just get that through my head? I cheated on my lifelong partner. I unwisely confessed even though there was no pressing need to do so. I did so out of some fear that my secret would somehow eventually come out many years from now by some random happenstance. She was devastated, I told her several months ago. The intensity of her anger hasn't subsided, nor has her constant crying. What is worse is that out of revenge, she has become suddenly hyper promiscuous. I could never have predicted this because before all this started, I was her one and only sexual partner. She's openly sleeping with many men and talking about getting wilder and wilder. She clearly isn't deriving pleasure from her outings either. Every time she does this, she comes back angrier than before and crying even more than before. She says that she is intent on sullying herself as much as possible in order to hurt me. She was definitely the nicest person I've ever met in my entire life. But my betrayal has unleashed an altogether different person. I am astonished at how she is able to sustain these levels of anger after so many months. I'm terrified because neither her anger or constant crying or her revenge-based promiscuity show any signs of abating anytime soon. I've been recalcitrant. I've endured her anger. I'm making an effort to be helpful and to salvage our relationship, but nothing seems to be working. I've never been in this position before. I'd welcome hearing from others. This hyper-promiscuity, is this a normal response? Will her anger subside eventually? Will her hyper-promiscuity subside eventually? Last year I was dating a guy for several months, who I then learnt was double dating me and another girl throughout the whole time we were together. I left him there and then and was fuming for weeks on end. I'd imagine all sorts of scenarios to get back at him, but I knew I did not want to waste more of my time on that kind of trash. So I let go and moved on. Today I learned through a mutual friend that the other girl whom he was seeing when we were together and eventually became his girlfriend cheated on him, and they recently broke up. Oddly enough, it was like someone was telling me the walls are white or the sun rises in the east. I felt absolutely nothing. Maybe a twang of satisfaction, but that's it. If I had learnt back then that he had gotten his karma, I would have probably thrown a party, but today I just made coffee and went by my day. It felt odd, and quite frankly, I was more surprised with my own indifference than the news itself. But I guess that just goes to prove that we can move on. So if you're thinking of striking back or contemplating revenge, don't. You are the better person and you're worth more than that. Let karma do the dirty work. And it will in due time. You've got bigger and better things to do with your life then, to waste more time and energy on garbage who don't deserve it to begin with. Maybe keep a voodoo doll or a punching bag for therapy, lol. So recently broke things off with my ex because I found out she was lying and cheating on me virtually the entire time we were together. I found she was on dating sites talking and meeting up with other guys. Finding this out broke me. I created a fake profile on one of the sites she was on and was able to match with her. I carried on conversations with her under this false persona, during which time she never once even acknowledged my existence, and flat out lying to this guy about details of her life. Now I became bitter and angry as opposed to just hurt. I want revenge. So my question is, what's the best revenge? I was able to set up a sex date for her to meet this fake person. Do I send her to a random house as I park down the street to watch her walk of shame up and down, then crushing her by saying that she was being played? Or do I bypass the fake rendezvous and just crush her with words? I slept with someone, and I fucking loved it. I didn't plan to go out, let a stranger chat me up and get me into bed. But that is exactly what happened. I took an impromptu work trip yesterday. One of the girls couldn't make it, so I picked it up. Sometimes I say no to these. Most of the time. But with all that's going on, I wanted to be anywhere but home. Home is a reminder of the buzzing of the dryer that started this whole thing. That annoying little sound led me to discover something that I wish I could undiscover. There's no other answer. He must have had someone over. I don't even feel bad, at this moment anyway. It's been almost a day since it happened. My feelings have gone from guilt to giving no fucks to sad to mad to guilt, and everything in between, if that is even possible. But no happy. There is no happy. Not anymore. My boyfriend and I have been doing long distance for the past couple months. He has a best friend he lives with, and he is really close with both him and his best friend's girlfriend. She does things that are understandable in a girlfriend that hangs out with her boyfriend's friend, like being supportive of the job that her boyfriend and mine work, and being a good friend. This is going to be a longer story. But lately, I've been getting a little suspicious. One night a month ago, I was on FaceTime with him and he was drinking, and so was the best friend's girlfriend, but her boyfriend went to bed for the night. They were planning on watching a movie together, and he was being extremely nice to her. Sometimes even nicer than he can be with me. He introduced me to her saying, "This is my name from where I lived. She's the one picking me up from the airport tomorrow. We have known each other for like 6 years. She's like, oh hey, nice to meet you." It was really weird he didn't introduce me as his girlfriend at all, and after I found out they were watching a movie alone, I was flipped out. He immediately called me back and asked her about the current situation. I was upset, which upset me. Her response was, "I'm not getting involved with this. I'm not doing anything wrong." He says, "She doesn't do this with just me. She will hang with all of his roommates when he is gone or sleeping. You need to trust me." Knowing they were both really drunk, something didn't sit well with me because him and I have been having trust issues. So I hung up and we started texting, and it seemed like she was the one texting for him all of this stuff to try to resolve the situation because he never texts or talks that way. It honestly seemed like the texts were being written by a female. Once I calmed down and we stopped texting as much, he just stopped texting for the rest of the night altogether. Another morning, I was FaceTiming him, and she randomly walks out and said "Where's the Nintendo Switch?" walking out in her PJs, and I could tell she noticed I was on the phone with him, and there was an awkward silence, and it looked almost as if she was coming from my boyfriend's room upstairs, and her boyfriend's is downstairs. He third wheels with both of them doing couple things, so I honestly didn't think anything of it. Lately, he's been sleeping on the couch downstairs instead of his room, which also confused me. But his explanation was that he doesn't have a TV in his room. This morning he was texting me saying he thinks he has COVID, and I asked him who does he think he got it from, and he told me his best friend's girlfriend. Then I was suspicious again. I asked if her boyfriend, his best friend, is sick, and he told me no. I thought this was so weird, and now I have suspicions that they could be cheating with each other. I tend to overthink, but he has given me reasons to not trust him, especially when it comes to the cheating thing in the past. Should I be worried he's cheating,